Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes. Good morning, and we are live on social media at this time. Ms. P.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our virtual planning workshop. We would like to open up with our district personnel with a greetings from Dr. Foster, Dr. Calloway, and Mr. Hayward John.
Well, thank you, Ms. Pickard. I just want to take a short moment here to, first of all, thank all of our counselors and our CDFs and our guest speakers today, Mrs. Dempsey from OC Tech, Mrs. Suggs from Claflin, and also Mrs. Duncan Joseph from Claflin, I'm sorry. But also just wanted to get on because this is a extremely important step in getting our students to our post-secondary options and opportunities. Finance is always a challenge, and as a former guidance counselor myself, I understand the difficulty and the challenges, but also the anxiety that sometimes this process will take parents through. I remember as a first generation college student myself, my mom and I having to sit down and figure it out because we didn't have individuals like yourselves to assist. And it's even more challenging during the pandemic, but our staff and our community, as always, has found a way to figure it out so that we can still provide a quality service and support to our students. So on behalf of the school board and on behalf of the school administration, I want to personally thank you all for your forethought, your commitment, and also your continued support of our families and our students, ensuring that they have the best opportunities and they're prepared to move forward at any level that they so choose to move forward with. Want to also take an opportunity to pause and thank Dr. Calloway, our Assistant Superintendent for Student Services, and Mr. Hayward John, and Faith Arthur, our Coordinator of Counseling Services, who put this together and reached out and made sure that this was possible. So thank you all for what you continue to do. And to our families, I hope you all find this very, very helpful. And please, if you don't get everything you need today, please reach out to our folks here online. They'll be more than willing to continue to assist you to ensure that your students prepared and we have everything in line to give all students the opportunities to move to a post-secondary opportunity. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to Mrs. Pickard. I think you're muted, Mrs. Pickard.
Thank you. Dr. Calloway, the floor is yours.
All right, good morning. I'm delighted that we're here together for our parents and students to make certain that they get exactly what they need to prepare for college. It's our endeavor to make certain that our students and parents are provided with the necessary tools to be successful and to get them on track to go to college. And I know that this workshop will be definitely in a way that it will prepare our students to get ready for post-secondary. And I just want to say that I really am very appreciative of Ms. Faith Arthur, our Coordinator of Career and Counseling Services, also our Director, Mr. Hayward John, our career counselors, and also our guidance counselors. I want to say thank you so much for putting this initiative together. And I know our students and parents will benefit for this workshop. And also thank you for our partners who also serve as the presenters on today. Thank you all so much.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Again, just echoing Dr. Foster, our phenomenal superintendent, Dr. Calloway, our phenomenal, extraordinary, also Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Ms. Arthur, who is a hero for children, and all school counselors and a career specialist, and our special guest today, Ms. Suggs, Ms. Duncan Joseph, Ms. Dempsey, who'll be coming on to give life to college. It's gonna be amazing. Now, I'm a Claflin University graduate, so I'm really excited to have Claflin with us today. But we're here because we don't want our students to say these words. I wish they would have told me. Oh man, we do not want you to have to say that. We don't want you to have to say, man, if only they told me this, I would be here. If only they told me that, I'd be here. No, you don't have to hear that, because today we're going to tell you, we're going to give you the keys, the keys, the keys. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining in. We're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming also on your Microsoft Stream. So engage, connect, and follow up. Thank you all for joining us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you all to our administration and to our fearless leader, Ms. Faith Arthur, for the vision of this event this morning. Our committee workshop for this event includes myself, Tiffany Picard. I'm the career specialist at William J. Clark Middle School. Mrs. Janetta Williams, the school counselor and career specialist at Lake Marion High School. And Ms. Tiara Ulma, the career specialist at North Middle High School. We want to thank you for your participation and invite you to attend our department's future events that are all centered on college and career readiness. This morning, we have 3 college professionals who will share valuable information about college planning. First, we have Ms. Cynthia Duncan Joseph. She's the director of freshman college at Claflin University, and she'll provide information on the college admissions and planning process. Followed by Ms. Stacy Suggs, also from Claflin University's athletic department, who present on NCAA information for our student athletes. And lastly, Mrs. Amanda Dempsey from Orangeburg-Calhoun Technical College's financial aid department, who present financial aid and FAFSA information. Thank you all for your assistance this morning, and take the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right.
Morning.
And good morning.
Good morning. I'm going to give you all, share my screen with you. And I'm delighted as I do this to be a part of this. I live for helping students find their college journey. Like many of you, I was a first-generation college student. I can't say I was. I am a first-generation college student. I went to undergrad, and as you could tell, I don't have a Southern accent, but I'm from upstate New York, from Buffalo, New York. And I was just a little Black girl from the west side of Buffalo. And I went to college, not quite sure what I wanted to do. Every major I thought I wanted, they canceled it or wasn't offered. And I ended up majoring in political science with a minor in Chinese East Asian studies. So how can a little Black girl from the west side of Buffalo who only knew about the #1 Chinese restaurant, I knew nothing about China. And so I ended up following a path that was different from what many of my peers on the west side of Buffalo did. But I was committed because I had people like your wonderful leaders here in Orangeburg who told us, they answered our questions. And so I've always been committed to helping young people find their college journey. I'm a mother of 3, and I just sent my first one off to college, and she's doing well. She's finishing up exams today. And so I just want you to know that I'm here to help you even beyond today if you all need some help. So the title of my presentation that I often give, and I tweaked it a little bit, is how to maximize your first year college experience. And this is going to give you some insight. And I tailored it for not only the students, but also for the parents, because you all are partners in this process. As your superintendent said, you know, he and his mom sat down, and I remember days when, even though my mom wasn't a college grad, she would not let me go out and do what I wanted to do until I completed aspects of the process, because you have to get these things done. It won't just pop up as a tweet or Instagram. There's work to be done. So today I want to spend a little time with you here. So first of all, I want you to say, keep an open mind in the process. So what I'm going to share with you is there is a school for everyone. Clearly, I would love to say, come on to Claflin, right? And I'm doing that too. But I also want you to think about, what is the process for you? Are you ready for this journey? Are you ready to get engaged in what's to come ahead? And I think that's important to start. So when you think particularly about HBCUs or colleges, you might think about this. Everybody talks about the Greek life. The first thing students say to us when they come on Claflin, when can I pledge? When can I pledge? That's just an aspect of it, but that's not college, right? You might think about college this way. You might say, hallelujah, I'm out of my parents' house. Like, I know this was one of my daughter's images when she left like this past year. She was like, yes. And I heard her tell someone this yesterday, like, oh, you will love it when you get out of the house. But parents are feeling this way too. I've had parents at Claflin tell me, yes, now I can rent out their room and get some rent money or something, right? And so everybody has a certain feeling. It's kind of like, whoo, I made it, because it's just the first step in the journey. But this is what we're really focusing on. We want you to focus on the studying that takes place, right? We want you to focus on your graduation. We want you to be out in 3 to 4 years. Yes, some of us take 5 and 6. The key, right, in the process is to be out within 3 to 4 years. That's what we really want to focus on. We want you to get that image. Pin up an image on the wall of a graduate and say, this is going to be me in the next 3 to 4 years. And let that be part of the guide for your process. So I'm going to give you what I say are 5 tips in my short time with you today. But as you'll realize quickly, I can't count. So there's probably more than 5 tips in here, but just go with me and pretend like I have 5. All right. So I like to run. And just before I moved here 7 years ago, I ran my first half marathon. And so I live by this mantra that life is a marathon, not a sprint, and endurance is the key to success. So in the process, part of what I'm going to share with you today is how to start that preparation process and to go through it step by step and not think that you're going to run the entire 26 miles, right? You're not going to finish college in 2 years necessarily right away, but you're going to go through everything you need to do starting right now, even in high school. So first of all, I think critical is you have to plan to succeed. And part of that planning, I think that's critical for parents and students, is researching the types of colleges, all types of colleges. There are Hispanic serving institutions. There are historically Black colleges and institutions. You have 2-year technical schools, community colleges. You have your 4-year liberal arts schools. You have large schools. You have small public, small private schools, very large public schools. You need to begin to research what is good for you. Where do you feel comfortable? If there are opportunities to visit colleges, and I know right now during COVID, we can't. I have a junior in high school and we cannot go on college tours right now, but we're starting to hit the virtual tours that are available for us. We want to get organized, creating lists. I would say this is one thing. If you were in person, I would ask you, how many people have $1.08 with them right now? If you have $1.08 somewhere available to you right now, I'm going to say run to Dollar Tree and buy a plastic shoebox, right, with a lid. And so start keeping your information in one space. All the things you need for financial aid, all the information you need for your transcripts. And yes, you might want to create that online. However, I want you to have it at your fingertips, because that's going to make the planning process go easier. So you don't have to have a sophisticated Dropbox mechanism, but I want you to have this information available and know where to get it from. Your transcripts, looking for scholarships, and knowing, I'm sure someone's talking about financial aid. There are tons of scholarships out there. I've begun my own list for my own children, in anything that you want. How to make a Christmas card. Do you have someone in your family who suffered from dementia and Alzheimer's? I was amazed at the numbers of scholarships that were out there. Are you left-handed? We found one if you are of Italian background and African-American background and you attend an HBCU, there was a scholarship for that. So just getting organized is going to help you through that process. I also want you in this planning process to ask questions, and I beg you to ask questions. There are no dumb questions in the college planning process. If you don't know, someone else does, and it's not uncommon that we get questions all the time, and I want you to begin to reach out to your circle to ask those questions. So that leads me into my 4th point. Have your empowerment and success circle within your school community, within your church community, within your neighborhood, among those of us on this virtual event today. Who's going to speak on your behalf? That's part of the process, right? Who's going to help you to write your letters of recommendation for you? Who's going to give you some honest feedback about where you might end up? Don't let anybody tell you college, you can't. You may just take a different journey than someone else, right? And we want you to begin to have those difficult conversations and honest conversations with your guidance counselors and your support circle so that you can gain access to the best information in college planning. I think so often we tend not to talk to our guidance counselors and support people thinking we can do it on our own. But the reality is you want to turn to people who have helped others and who have walked that path as well. I like a little bit of bling. So number 3 here. And I put this number 3 in the bling because this for me is the most important. When I work with college freshmen, this is what I'm asking. I want you to know what you think matters about the college process. What you think about college matters. Why do you want to go to college? I think that's a critical question. So often the parents will push a student to go to a particular school because they see value in it. But we also want to take time for you young people to ask you, why do you want to go? That's going to help us guide you to the school that is a best fit for you. So do you want to go because you want to party? That's a wrong reason. You want to go because you're going to have a social life, yes. But do you want to go because they have the major that interests me, right? Do they have opportunities to travel abroad? One of the things I did as an undergrad was I traveled in my junior year. I traveled to Mexico, Nicaragua, Guatemala, and Peru. And then senior spring, I turned around. Who would miss senior spring on campus? That's the best time. Oh, not for me. I went to mainland China. I was gone. And I was so happy that, and then I tried not to graduate on time and go on another trip to Brazil until my mother told me, get yourself on back over here to the United States and walk across that stage, because we've never had anybody who has graduated, right? So what I knew at the school that I went to, they had the programs that were of interest to me, but they weren't just academic. For me, it was also about study abroad. Do they have the athletics that you're interested in? How well do they graduate their students? I never start with admissions first, parents. My daughters, when we travel and look at different schools, at least for the first one, we met with the departments first, and then we went to admissions. We asked them, how many African-American student females have graduated? My daughter's interested in engineering. How many African-American females graduated in engineering? What is your retention rate? We asked those tough questions, and then we backed into the admissions part, because when we go that route, we know that you're actually going to reach your goal by asking some of those questions. So you want to look there. And then young people, I would ask you this. Right now, ask yourself in high school rather, what distracts me? Is it the phone? Is it social media? Is it certain people in my social circle? What is it that's distracting me? And you want to start to deal with those issues now so that they don't become problematic in college. I think some of what we find working with first year students is they're so used to not really having a structure. They don't necessarily keep a calendar. So you want to think about giving yourself that leg up right now in high school in addressing some of those distractions. Because if you work on it now, you'll be more successful in the colleges that you select. And part of that has to go with setting goals. I'm sure you're talking about this in high school. And I know so many of us have had to talk about goal setting, short-term, big-term goals, especially during COVID, because we have nothing else to do, right? But sit home and think about, well, what's our future going to look like after COVID? I have a whole list of what I'm going to do post-COVID, where I'm going to travel, what I want to do. But so many of us are starting to learn different languages, are learning different skills. So this is a great time. When you're thinking about your goals, which colleges are you looking at that are going to help you attain those goals, right? So do you want to choose a school? So, well, I want to go to nursing, but you chose a school that doesn't offer nursing as a major. But you might talk to the dean of that college and say, well, how can you get me to a nursing degree if I come here? So just because they don't have it on paper the way that you think you should see it, share your goals in any first year program that you go to. When you're selecting a college, I want you to ask them, do they have a first year seminar? That's critical. And is it required? So many of them are not required, they're optional, and a lot of students opt out. But the research tells us that students who participate in first year experience programs are much more successful, not only in retention, but in their GPAs than those who do not. So you want to choose a school that's going to support your goals and support you from day one by giving you the tools for success. So make sure that when you're looking at a college, you ask them, do you have a first year experience seminar that I can participate in? And then you know that you're going to be off on a really good foot. My second point is challenge yourself. This is really for now. This is in your high school experience. I want you this year and in your upcoming years, hopefully there's some middle schoolers on this call too, or parents of middle schoolers. I want you to challenge yourself and your student to go that extra mile. Are you doing your best in your core courses like math, like English, like science? Did you finish all your requirements and you could actually take another math course, right? Don't say, oh, I'm just going to take a physical education course. I'm going to take an art course. Those are all wonderful. But can you challenge yourself to give yourself the skills that you need? If they're offering some kind of course in computer programming or coding, why not take it, right? You want to make sure that you're willing to learn something new, because college is about learning new information, processing it, and then setting it to be successful with your goal so that you can make a change in society. So you want to think about courses that are well balanced and give you a really good foundation. So talk to your guidance counselors about that. Don't shy away. If you have an opportunity to take an AP course, take that AP course, right? If you have an opportunity to take something that you've not had experience with and you have a support system, I would encourage you to do so. I'm also going to say this. I want you to read. I want you to read some more. And then I want you to read widely. Almost every single first year experience program is going to have a common reader book. We're reading The Hate You Give at Claflin. And I'm going to say this not only to our students, but to our parents. Please try to read at least an hour a day and 3 hours on the weekend. And parents, I'm saying this to you too, because I really need you all to read with your student and talk about material. The more they get accustomed to talking with people about their thoughts about the reading, the more successful they will be in college, because they will begin to ask questions. And that is a critical aspect of college. College is not about sitting there and letting people pour into you. You are a contributor to your own learning, right? You want to go in there and tell them what you understand, what you don't understand. And for many students, they say, well, I don't read. You all read all the time, because if I could talk to you right now, I would ask you to read this slide to me. And so what I say to students is this: if you can read, but you don't want to read, then we definitely need to have a different conversation about college. But if you can read, even if you're not the strongest reader and you're willing to take the time to read, then college is definitely for you, because you're going to put in the work to do it, right? It's not going to just come to you, like I say in the tweet. So I'm going to encourage all of us on this call, commit to reading an hour a day. I don't care if you're reading a comic book, a newspaper, but get in there to read, because it's going to help you to grow your vocabulary. And so part of this, I will move towards, hopefully I'll have some time later for Q&A, is I want you all, as you're preparing for the college experience, to please practice professionalism. And I say that because you want to put your best foot forward as you embark on this journey. So some things that you want to ask yourself: am I focusing on changing some of my habits? When you're going on the Zoom to meet with the counselor, how are you dressed? Do you look like a professional? I want you to focus on growing your vocabulary. That's going to happen as part of your reading, right? I want you to practice your communication skills. And please, whatever you do, everybody, when you write to us in the college environment, please don't begin your email with "hey," right? I want you to say good morning or dear. So work on penning, writing really good emails to get that process going. When you're writing your essays, you want to avoid sloppy or poor written essays and emails. Don't accidentally say, well, I'm interested in South Carolina State, but you're actually writing an essay for Claflin University. So make sure that you read what you're writing, have other people help you proofread to ensure that your information is absolutely complete. Ultimately, when you're focusing on professionalism, you want to ask yourself this, and I love this quote. It's one that I live by. Ask yourself if what you're doing today is getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. And do you see yourself in that future goal? Do you see yourself as that teacher, as that attorney, as that doctor, as that Microsoft programmer, computer programmer? And so here I want to encourage you also, in this time of COVID, visit your college events, attend as many virtual open houses as you can, and go on and put your name in to their data sets, and they're going to start emailing you and telling you when they're having events. Research your potential majors. If you're not sure, it's okay. A lot of our students are undecided, and most students change their major 3 times before they actually declare. I was one of those. So I know that it's possible. No deadlines. Absolutely keep your deadlines close at heart and meet them. Don't follow up on them. And then you want to meet with key faculty and support in finalizing all your financial aid. So I just want to say, keep calm and know that you're college bound, and be intentional, right? And so this is the same thing in your college choices. Just know that there are many schools that are open to you. And if you need to get in touch with me, that's how you will. So I hope I didn't go over my time too much, and I thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Duncan Joseph, for those great points. Being organized, asking questions, having an empowerment circle to help you succeed, thinking about what matters to you and why you want to attend college, setting your goals, challenging yourself, reading and practicing professionalism are all important in the college planning and success process. Next up, we'll have Ms. Stacy Suggs, who will present the NCAA rules and regulations. Can you unmute yourself?
Ms. Suggs, you're still muted.
Sorry. Good morning. I am Marilyn Stacy Suggs, the Deputy Athletics Director of Compliance, the Senior Woman Administrator at Claflin University. So you may want to play, college sports. Here are a few keys to that, or at least part of that aforementioned kingdom, that is intercollegiate athletics. Preparation actually should have started in the 9th grade. The information that I'm sharing is pertinent to every NCAA member institution, and it is just an overview. There's so many nuances that are required, and I keep the NCAA legislation on my desk at all times for reference. No one can know it all, and everyone is very open to questions. In the NCAA, there are 3 divisions, 1, 2, and 3. There's also NAIA. I'm not familiar with many of those rules, but it does exist, and some 4-year institutions are members of NAIA. There are junior colleges as well that can lead you to the NCAA. The NCAA has different academic requirements at different levels for immediate participation from high school. At Division II, which Claflin University is, it requires 16 core classes and a GPA of at least 2.2 for immediate participation. And there is a sliding scale to possibly assist you if you have some deficiencies anywhere. For example, you have a lower test score, ACT, SAT, and your GPA is higher. So the sliding scale helps us, and we haven't had it very long, but has been beneficial to us. An important note for the administrators is that the core class list for high school should be regularly updated, because the NCAA Eligibility Center will not be able to use the courses unless they're on your core class list. And the core list is 3 years of English, 2 years of math, 2 years science, and 3 years of additional English, math, or natural science. Then you can have 4 years of any other core classes from the high school. For example, a foreign language, religion, or philosophy. As I looked at the virtual college planning workshop resource center, I saw that there was a lot of information about the eligibility center, which is key. That is the largest key to the NCAA so-called kingdom. To register for the eligibility center, the website is NCAA Eligibility Center, and so you can create an account. The easiest way to find it is to log into ncaa.org, scroll to the bottom, and you'll find the eligibility center there. And you can click there and it'll lead you to the registration page. A key point, the current fee is $90. You can't move past anything until the $90 is there. And that's the current price. If you get a fee waiver to take the SAT or the ACT, you are eligible for the NCAA fee waiver. It's important that you register as soon as possible, even if you're undecided about collegiate sports, because it doesn't matter when you decide to attend, this part is going to be required. The fee waiver comes from your high school institution. So you can ask your guidance counselor or whoever's in charge of the eligibility center if you're eligible for a fee waiver and have them to apply it to your account once you start the registration process. Please use, as you register, a personal email address. Please don't use your high school email address if one is provided to you, because you will need this access beyond high school. Use the name you are comfortable with. For example, if it's your middle name or a shortened version of your so-called government name, use that. Compliance must use that name on all official NCAA documentation. Please do not use a nickname. Record your NCAA ID number somewhere when you receive it. It'll be near your name during the registration process. Record it so that you're able to refer to it when asked. Use your correct expected graduation date. Be sure to list all of the high schools you attend or have attended, and register for all of the sports you may be interested in for participation. Claflin University has a total of 11 men and women's sports, plus cheer. Cross country and track are the most open for joining, and they consist of 6 of those sports. So 3 men, 3 women. Once you register at the eligibility center, there's a task list that should be checked regularly so that you're staying on task. Some things cannot be completed due to COVID, but a good faith effort should be made to try to do so. For example, should you attempt to take the SAT or the ACT, they don't have very many seats, so some people are denied. A lot of institutions will admit you without the SAT or the ACT because of COVID, but the NCAA asks that you retain the notice that you received from your session so that if it's asked for later in order to give you a waiver, they know that you made the attempt to take the test, but were unable to sit for it. Of course, life as we know it with COVID and life in general dictates that we need effective and good record keeping. And it's equally important in athletics. Remember Dr. Duncan Joseph's box. So keep your athletic information in that box as well. Another key is, should you have an individual education program or an IEP, it's important that you submit that to the counseling center on your campus, as well as the athletic academic counselor, where it all remains confidential. This is important if we need to write for a waiver for any reason, that we have that information, that it exists. We don't use the information, but the fact that it exists, we already know in the event that we need to do a waiver. Let's talk a little bit about recruiting. There are periods of time that coaches cannot reach out to you, but you can reach out to them. These are called quiet periods and dead periods. The fact that you're not responded to may simply mean that you may be talking to them in a dead period or a quiet period, or even you may not fit into the coaching plan or philosophy. It is not a reflection of your skills. Do not think that it is a reflection of your skills. Tryouts are not required of coaches at Division II or Division I. So if one wants to be noticed, please continue to send film to write to coaches and stay in front of them if you feel you are a fit. Athletics at Division II is an equivalency program in terms of scholarship. I'll explain that a little bit later. Now, the National Letter of Intent, or called the NLI. It's a very, very touted and prestigious process, but it doesn't have to happen on signing day. There's a period of time that we can sign NLIs, And we try to make sure that we help with public signings if you're going to be signed, but we prefer that you sign a valid one if we provide it. At NLI signing day or NLI signing at your institution, we can, you can just provide a piece of paper and sign. On the other side of the NLI, it means that there's a recruiting ban on you. And you can no longer talk with other coaches from other institutions, or it's a violation of NLI and NCAA rules. So be sure before you sign that you're comfortable, that you no longer want to be recruited. Committing to an institution. If you verbally commit to an institution, it's easy to decommit. It doesn't tie you into anything. You're not forced to attend that institution. You're not forced to do anything at all, because it's just simply a promise that you will do it. You can decommit at any time. Now, financial aid and scholarship. Someone is going to talk to us a little bit about it later, but Division I and the Power 5 schools give scholarship. Division II athletics is primarily recruited to be awarded grant in aid. And grant in aid means that you are packaged. And in packaging, what that means is we use your Pell, if eligible, any other scholarships that you may get, any South Carolina offerings, such as the tuition grant, and maybe even loans to get you as close to zero as possible. There is no such thing at Claflin University as a full ride. You must be packaged in order to get at close to zero. Claflin University Athletics does not return your Pell to you in your pocket. Division III schools do not assist athletics at all. It is all academic scholarship money. And in order for you to be awarded anything at Claflin University, and most institutions, if it's Pell, you must complete the FAFSA. Athletic training. Insurance is required. Medicaid is acceptable, but if something happens out of state and one needs medical care, it's going to create a cost for you. There is secondary insurance at Claflin University and at most institutions that will offset some of that cost, but we're only required to provide secondary insurance. Another key thing is that sickle cell tests are mandatory. 100% reporting is required. We don't pay attention to ethnicity. So everyone has to have a sickle cell test to participate in intercollegiate athletics. And that's across the board. That is legislated in the NCAA legislation. Progress towards degree is something that's a buzzword for us. We call it PTD. And collegiate athletics at Division II has a very specific path to graduation. This is why you're at the institution, is to graduate. In Division II, you have 10 semesters to play 4 seasons. One is required to pass a specific number of classes each semester to stay on track to graduation. Failure to meet PTD can render one ineligible, and that ends competition and could end athletic aid if you have any. Once again, Division III is all academic, and there is no athletic aid, and graduation is definitely the end goal for all of us. Division I has what's called a clock, and it starts at high school graduation and your first entry into post-secondary education. To put that simply, you have 5 years to play for. Something to remember is that student athletes are held to a higher standard than other students. They must be able to do it all and do it successfully. At Division II, we have what's called life in the balance, and it's very important. A D2 student athlete should be able to successfully complete their academics, practice, compete successfully, and have a very balanced campus experience. Not so much at Division I, and at Division III, that is also very important. So the key points to remember is to register at the Eligibility Center. That's the very first step. and get the fee waiver before you graduate from high school. You can register at the Eligibility Center at any time if it's applicable for you at any division. And as I said, there are many, many nuances to compliance. And this is just a brief overview of what takes place. So I encourage you that even if you're not decided on whether you want to compete at the college level, to go ahead and sign up at the Eligibility Center. And to speak to Division II once again, I actually have eligibility left. So if I were to go back to school right now and decide I wanted to compete, I have eligibility left. So that 10 semesters is very important. So if you don't use them all, you still can retain some eligibility if you don't compete in 4 seasons. Again, make that decision. Go ahead and try to register at the Eligibility Center and decide what sports you might want to compete in. And don't think that if because you're not recruited, that you don't have the talent or the skill set to do what's necessary at any institution. And that's my spiel.
Thank you, Mrs. Suggs. Like she stated, preparation is key. Research the GPA requirements in your courses to make sure you will be prepared. Students, please remember to check the Eligibility Center and to begin your process and register at ncaa.org. Lastly, we have Mrs. Amanda Dempsey, who will present financial aid and FAFSA information, as we all know how important it is to be able to afford college.
Good morning, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay?
Good morning.
Morning. I'm just going to share a PowerPoint with you all and we'll get started. And just let me know if you're able to see it.
Perfect. Yes, ma'am.
So I see we had a common theme this morning with Cynthia. She was talking about journeys, and I'm going to talk about the road to success. And the road to success could be many different things, the road to success in life or career. I just want to thank you all for having me here and let me present. I do go out to schools a good bit. I'm very familiar with Janetta, Lake Marion High School, so I always thank you for inviting me to these things. My name is Amanda Dempsey. I've been with OC Tech for 8 years. I'm the Assistant Director for Financial Aid, but my overall years in higher education is 17. Did I ever go to college and plan to be a financial aid counselor? Absolutely not. I was going to nursing school. But as we heard previously, sometimes our paths are different in life. I've always had a compassion and a passion to help others. So I found that this is where I can help. Not only are we financial aid counselors, but we're counselors to our students when life gets hard on them, when money gets tight, when they are going through a divorce, separation, cancer. You will not believe the things we hear in our office, and we go home and like, how can this be? How are our students still persevering? But they do it, and it's because of commitment, determination, and many other factors that's played a part in our life. So we're going to get started. Many students and parents, and sometimes even our schools will say, where do we begin? Well, where do we start? It starts at home, basically. You have to have the parents involved. They need to be involved and stay involved. But our schools also have a responsibility. I have a responsibility. The administrations at schools have responsibilities, and our guidance counselors have a responsibility to lead these students on the right paths. Be involved. Encourage your student or child to become involved with school and community activities. I cannot tell you how important this is. You want our children off the street? Sign them up for something. Have them involved in a community or school activity. Teach them manners and respect, but also teach them to have time management, demonstrate compassion, and build up their confidence. One of the major things we see here, and even for myself, is confidence. Sometimes we lack confidence to think we can do this, go to college, hold down a career, hold down a family, and we sometimes step back. We take ourselves out of that spotlight. Hey, I don't want to do this. It's too much for me. But we need to learn to give our children and build up their confidence to let them know they can do these things. Have fun learning. Don't place too much pressure on your child. And that's coming from my own experience. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I'm a full-time working mom. and I'm married. Well, my 8-year-old is totally different than my 5-year-old. He's hyper, he's impulsive, and he's ADHD. When we started out at 1 year old, I noticed he was a little bit different. I went to my husband, I was crying. I said, what is wrong with him? What is wrong with him? There's absolutely nothing wrong with him. He's the smartest, brightest little child I know, most loving child I know. But I had to learn as a parent to encourage him to do the best, not be the very best of everybody else. Start searching for the college or university that fits the budget and expectations. You want to pay little to no cost out of pocket. You want high quality educational programs. You also want an institution that aligns with your life and career goals. That's important because if they don't align and you go to an institution because parents are pushing you, friends are pushing you, because you thought it was a prestige college or a university or even a technical school, and you get there and it may not align with what your expectations were, what your goals were. So it's important to start building goals as early as 8th grade. They need to start mapping out their goal, their future to college and after college. What was,
MC,
yes.
this is amazing. Will you place in slideshow format so we can see?
Oh, yes, it's not. It should have been.
Yeah, go to
Y'all see that now?
No, go to where it says slideshow on the keep going slide over it, right
Mm-hmm.
right there. Current slide right there.
Yeah, it is on. It may because I'm operating off of 3 computers in my office. Let me see if I can shift it. Sharing and share. Let's see. Is that better?
Perfect. Content is so good. We want to see it. It's perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have 3 computers we have to work off here. So
It's the virtual world.
that's right. It's a new world we're living in. So for our students, and this is the bottom one is really targeted really for our juniors and seniors, but really they need to begin this at 9th grade. Explore what college or the university has to offer you. What types of programming you're interested in, day or evening classes, online programs, flexible scheduling. Because not all students can afford to just go to college and not work. Some can't stay on the dorms, some are traveling back and forth, and there's other life events that come into play when we think about scheduling students for their courses. And last but not least, and this is what I'm gonna hammer on today, financial aid packages. And this is just some good information for the parents and guidance counselors to have is at studentaid.gov. And it kind of piggybacks off of what I just went over. Where to begin? Elementary school, junior high, high school. Well, what do we need to be looking at? What do we need to be focusing on? I think I answered these already. Do your best in school. Have fun learning. For our junior high or middle school, you need to begin thinking about college. That's an important part of your future. Not just hanging out with your friends, not just shooting the breeze. You need to start thinking about your future because guess what? Your friends aren't going to plan your future for you. You're planning your future. And I know how important friends can be sometimes. But parents, again, I will say, stay involved in your children's life. Know where they're at and who they're hanging out with because those influences will make a difference on the choices they make later on in life. And for our high schools, what do we begin? Well, guidance counselors doing great jobs. I commend y'all. Janetta reaches out to me every so often. And sometimes I get an email after email. Ms. Dempsey, you busy? Can you do this? Absolutely, I can do this because it takes a team, it takes a village. It takes a village to raise our children and to help our students. They need to begin preparing to complete the FAFSA. And what is the FAFSA? Well, let's talk about this. Paying for college is easier than you think. And did you know 70% of college students do not have their educational costs fully covered by family? And surprisingly, only 61% of high school students are filling it out. And when I say filling it out, that's the FAFSA. This was a presentation presented on PBS TV off of a little mini series called 2 Cents. And it's very educational. It is surprising to me that we don't have 100% of high school students filling out the FAFSA, no matter how much you think you or your parents are making, no matter what you think you may or may not be eligible for. I say apply, apply, apply until they tell you, hey, you applied too many times. The financial aid is our treasure map. What is the FAFSA? The free application for student aid. This is your best resource for obtaining the most amount of free or low-cost college aid. It's 108 questions, and it digs into your personal and financial history. It may look intimidating. I was a counselor. I was a student myself, but it's not. You make it seem scary. Ask for help. And though it may look intimidating, you will say, most people report that it takes only about an hour to complete. And once they do it one time, they're able to renew it and do it again on their own. And we're proud of the fact that OC Tech offers this service openly to the public. Not only do we do FAFSAs for our students come to OC Tech, we're open to the public. You're going to Claflin, you're going to USC, you're going to Clemson, you're going to State. Hey, come to us. We'll help you through your FAFSA, no charge. You should never, ever pay to do a FAFSA. That's why it's called the free application. And that website is FAFSA.gov, not .com, because if you go to .com, they're going to want you to put in a credit card to pay for that. Again, the FAFSA is free. Here's the best thing. You can choose up to 10 schools to put on that FAFSA, send all your financial aid information to those colleges that you're interested in, that you believe fits your college plan. And you can do it all before you even apply to the college. And that's a wonderful thing, because we can know then, as students and parents, how much financial aid they're going to have to go to each one of those colleges. And that's what it's about, shopping around the best bang for your bucks, the best college experience, and not just partying, like Ms. Cynthia said, because if you're going, that's for the wrong reason. You need to go because this is going to be what you rely on once you step out into the real world. Well, how much financial aid can I get? Honestly, that really depends on your financial aid need. And parents, educators, and students, these acronyms you're going to hear often in your life. Financial aid need is determined by expected family contribution. We as counselors call that the EFC. And you have a cost of attendance to go to each college. That's called a COA. Your EFC is determined by what information and income you have entered into FAFSA. Your cost of attendance is the tuition, fees, room and board, and other miscellaneous charges to attend that institution. So how do we, as financial aid counselors, come up with how much money we can package you with and what is your actual financial aid need? We take your cost of attendance, we subtract how much the federal government said you can provide out of pocket, which is your EFC, and that gives us your financial aid need where we're able to package you. What do we have to offer? Well, we have grants, work study, scholarship, loans, veteran benefits. But you probably won't receive one penny from any of these, maybe scholarships, unless you do the FAFSA. Well, my mom makes 100 grand. Hey, I don't care. Some scholarships say you must have a FAFSA on file first in order for us to award you, because they want to see what the family contribution is. They want to see what your unmet need is, either whether it's out of pocket or how much financial aid you're getting. And I can tell you one good thing, encourage your students. When they come on campus, even as young as 9th grade, apply for work study. Because if it was not for work study, again, I went to nursing school, wasn't for me. But in college, I was a financial aid work study assistant student. And that's how I ended up in higher education. And to this day, I still love it. I'm not going to read all of this word for word, but I am going to go over it for the sake of time. When you do the FAFSA, this is what it determines, your federal grants. Federal grants are free money based on financial need. Now, the Pell Grant is set by the federal government, and there is a max award. It's $6,345 for an academic year. Here's another important piece. Students seem to think that's per semester. It's not. So be cautious. An academic year and your predominant terms are spring and fall. That $6,345 is going to be divided half in fall and half in spring, and it's prorated based on your credit hours. And an academic year normally consists of fall, spring, and summer. What you do not use in fall and spring may roll down to the summer. If you use all of it fall and spring, there may not be 1 cent left from the Pell Grant to use during summer. So always have a backup plan for your summer courses if you're required to take summer courses, because a lot of your aid that you're going to receive requires you to be half-time, which is at least 6 hours to receive any other aid. The only grant or the only aid that will pay for a student to take a 1 credit hour course will be your Pell Grant. If you are eligible for a federal grant, Pell Grant money, then you may be eligible for FSEOG, which is your Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. This is a max award, and the institution sets that max award. However, why is it important to do FAFSAs early and on time and get a file completed? Because this is a first come, first served basis, and it is limited funding. So those students who are packaged first, meaning they can have a file complete date, they're enrolled in their class and we're ready to roll out aid, they're going to get the most or the best package of financial aid. State grants. You still have to complete the FAFSA, but this is a state grant. It's still free money, but it's based on a lot of criteria that is too much to explain. However, this is another first come, first served base grant. The max award could be $1,250 for fall and spring, if you're 12 hours. If you're not 12 hours, it could be $625 for fall and spring. And you can only receive it 2 times within a term, within an academic year. Federal work study. Earn money while attending to college. If I do not push for anything else, these students need work experience, because what does job resumes look at when you're applying? Jobs look at your resume. Do you have any work experience? A lot of them come out of college and say, absolutely not. Well, this is the best thing, because they align it with their program and study. You can earn money while working part-time and taking college courses. Sorry about that. My light goes off with this plexiglass. Scholarships. Now, this is solely based on OC Tech and 2-year colleges. It's free money based on financial aid need or merit. And merit means, did you earn it? GPA. Did you earn that scholarship? Not based on financial aid need. Did you work hard? Did you dedicate yourself? Like I heard someone say, there is a left-handed scholarship. You never would have thought it, but there is a left-handed scholarship. There is a Hispanic scholarship. There is a South Carolina Indian Developmental scholarship. All of that is based on origin or merit. The scholarships that OC Tech currently offers is South Carolina Life Scholarship, which is only available to 2 academic years here. Lottery tuition assistance. Outside scholarships are OC Tech Foundation scholarships, which students may apply for. South Carolina Wins and South Carolina Promise scholarships. Here's a quick reminder. Life and lottery cannot go together. So if a student is receiving the life scholarship, we must decline the lottery because it's doing the same thing. It's paying tuition. It's not there to give a student a refund. If a student is lottery eligible and receiving lottery, then the South Carolina Wins, lottery and wins go hand in hand as long as they meet the criteria. Veterans benefits. And I'm going to read this out because it's important. A lot of students don't know how to apply. Any veteran, dependent of a deceased or totally disabled veteran, active duty service member, active reservist, or National Guardsman may be eligible to receive veterans educational benefits. And here's where you find out more information. Call this 1-800 number or this 188 number. Take down this website. Encourage your students who have parents that were enlisted, retired, or maybe disabled because they had educational benefits that they set them aside. They may give them to dependents. And guess what? A lot of times VA pays 100% for students' tuition fees and books, and they get a cost of living stipend. So these students aren't having to go find a job and having to worry about the stresses of work life, college life, going back home, mom and dad, and relying on someone else other than themselves. How do I apply? Well, again, here's the website. You want to fill out the FAFSA. Juniors want to start practicing this now. I suggest they go ahead and start practicing. It's not going to hurt. Go ahead and practice that FAFSA so when you get to be a senior, you can just breeze through it. No time at all. But you must know, you have to create a FSA ID. This is an electronic signature for students and parents. If the students are dependent, under age 24, not married, no extenuating circumstances, no children of their own, they must rely and use parental information to the age 24. So yes, the student and parent must have an electronic signature to submit the FAFSA at the end. The FAFSA determines eligibility for federal aid for U.S. citizens and eligible non-citizens. You have to have documentations to be an eligible non-citizens. You must have a high school diploma, GED, or an accredited homeschool association you can enter into the FAFSA. If you mark other as what type of diploma or degree you have, you're not eligible for financial aid. You must have one of the 3. Males must register with selective services. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you all in high school do this maybe at age 18, but there is a questionnaire inside of the FAFSA that students who are not 18 yet or have not registered yet can go ahead and register those males for selected services through our FAFSA. Know the priority dates for your chosen institution. This will play the biggest factor when it comes to first come, first served grants that are being awarded. You want the best package or a better package? Apply early. Complete your documents required by the college. Do it early. FAFSAs are open as early as October for the following academic year. So we're in the 2021 year right now. However, colleges are already preparing and packaging student aid for students for the 21-22 year because we started receiving FAFSAs for 21-22 on October 1. So you see, there's really no excuse to apply late unless you're just uncertain and haven't made up your mind and haven't had a career goal. What would you need for parents and students? Social Security numbers, parents' marital status. And remember, parents, this is the marital status as of the date you are completing the FAFSA. My example of that is you may be divorced right now and never remarried, but your title in that FAFSA is not going to be single. It is going to be divorced, and we need that month and year. You need citizenship or proof of permanent residency. You need income, and income is going to be driven 2 years. It's what we call prior year. So we're currently in the 2021 year. We're using 2018 taxes. That way students are allowed to go ahead. Most parents or most students should already file their taxes for 2018. There's no excuse now for saying, hey, we got to wait after January, we have to file 20 taxes. Well, guess what? We're using 2-year-old taxes. You should have already filed. That information should be on hand, and you're going to need to upload that information. And we all have come across this, especially at 4-year institutions. FAFSA applicants for parents that do not have Social Security numbers, they need to enter all zeros. What happens after you submit the FAFSA? Well, this is the process. You're going to submit it. Once it's submitted, it's going to take 3 to 5 business days for that FAFSA information to be received from all 10, if you listed 10 institutions. Are you done there? Absolutely not. We received information. You may or may not have a file complete date as you see up there. A student may be asked to submit additional documentation in order to determine eligibility. A student can be selected for verification. So it is extremely important, if you haven't heard from your college, that you do the legwork, you follow up with that college, because every college is required to verify 30% of their student body population. Then once you completed all documents, you get a file complete date, we're able to package you and give you an award letter. Then you can decide after shopping around, is this award letter enough to cover my cost of attendance at this individual college? Here I leave you. As we have traveled down this road today, there are a lot of different paths when it comes to paying for college, similar to life in general. You get out what you put in. Hard work and dedication has paved many of our own paths to success and happiness. And that's why we're here today to help you all. We want the same success and happiness for each one of our children and our students. And when I say children, I'm 40 and I have students that come in are 50, 60, are non-traditional students. They're still part of my family. I'm here to help them. I've been put in this position to do what I know to do and how to help others. Lastly, I'm gonna leave you with a quote. The direction in which education starts, a man will determine his future. Thank you all for attending and for having me. There's my contact information for any questions or concerns you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Dempsey, for that information. We absolutely want to increase that 61% to 100% of our students completing their FAFSA. And thank you to OC Tech for being available to assist our students with that as well. Now we'll have Ms. Tiara Omer, who will facilitate our question and answer portion, and we will be closed out by Ms. Janetta Williams.
Good morning. I'm trying to get to the questions. Just give me a few seconds. I see that on Facebook, Miss Brittany asked for her send her contact information so that the presenters and ourselves can send her information. So I wrote her information down. Trying to get to the rest of the questions. Also, parents and students, if you have any other questions, you can contact your school guidance counselors and career specialists for further information. Again, this PowerPoint and live will be posted on each of the school's website and on the district website. I don't see any other questions or comments. So presenters, you all did a lovely job. Well done. Thank you all for coming on. Ms. Pickard is back on you.
Thank you, Ms. Ulmer, and we will have our closing from Ms. Janetta Williams.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and spend time with us this morning to hear from our phenomenal speakers. Thank you, everyone. This has truly been an amazing event with a wealth of information shared. Our virtual classroom with all of the resources will be shared today with all of our participants, parents, as well as our community members. We want to especially thank Dr. Foster. We want to thank our school board. We want to thank our leaders in Dr. Calloway, Mr. Hayward Jean. We thank Ms. Arthur for your tireless service for our department, always making sure that our students have access to these opportunities. We thank our phenomenal speakers again, Ms. Duncan Joseph, Ms. Suggs, Ms. Dempsey. You guys shared a wealth of information for our students. I know that they'll be better prepared for their future because of this. I know it was a short period of time, but like I said, they'll have access to the resources. So parents, students, please feel free once you get that resource that you follow those links, read the information that's needed, follow back up with us as career specialists and school counselors to make sure that any questions that you have, that we're able to answer them. Thank you to the heartbeat of our school district, which is my fellow career specialists and school counselors. Thank you so much for always working with us to make sure that these events are a success. Thank you to our IT department, our public relations, for just making sure that we get this information out to our parents. Thank you for the support from our principals, teachers, and staff for making sure that our students are logged on this morning. But last but not least, we thank our students, our parents, and our community, because everything that we do here in Orangeburg County School District is for you. We want to see you succeed. We want to make sure that you're prepared for the future. So please make sure that you reach out to us, share any concerns that you have with us. You see posted on the screen our post survey. There's a link for students and for our community members. There's also a QR code for each, so you can share your thoughts on our session today. So please take time to do that. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Thank you for your participation and your support. And if nothing else, this concludes our event for today.